What's good, y'all? We are back once again. Once again, we're talking about Sonic Racing Crossworlds, man. We, but this time, we're trying to see how it stacks up to one of the greats. In my opinion, one of the greats in the genre. We are trying to see if Sonic Racing Crossworlds can fill the void that Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel left in the kart racing space for consoles that are not Nintendo based. Now, a lot of us have played the game by this point, not the full game, but we've got to taste it through the betas, either whether that be the closed beta at the beginning of the year, February, or the open beta earlier this month. We have gotten to experience quite a bit of this game. And also with the demo coming up about next week, right before the game releases, we'll be able to get another taste of probably some stuff that we haven't even seen in either of the betas. So, does Crossword have what it takes? Let's talk about it. First on the cards, we have gameplay. And gameplay, I will admit, that is a personal preference with this game. These two games, they couldn't be more different. Especially with Sonic Crossworlds, how it's going now. It's switching up the formula of what they did before. But it's also still a familiar formula for most people that play games in this genre, because it feels very Mario Kart-esque. However, it does still have its own things going on with the gadgets and whatnot. That adds another layer of complexity to it. But I would say that Crossworlds is a game that is based about 50-50. It's 50-50 between skill, a 50-50 split between skill and luck. Because, let's just be honest here, as chaotic as this game is, the best racer in the lobby, the best racer in the game, they're not always going to be the one that's going to win the race. With as crazy as the items are, as effective as they are, sometimes it just isn't your day. No matter how good you can do, no matter how good you do, no matter how observant you are, sometimes it's just you're just unlucky. You're just defenseless at a few points in this game, and that can kind of shoot you in the foot when it comes to winning or placing podium, maybe. Now, Crash Team Racing, on the other hand, that game, I would say the split between skill and luck is probably about 90% skill to 10% luck. Because the items in that game, they're not really too crazy. Besides the Warp Orb and the Clocks items, those are the only two that'll really mess everyone up. It's probably, being honest, you can outmaneuver most other things. Or just watch out and be able to avoid them. With a lot of hazards they have, and the bowling bombs, they're not homing, but you gotta have quite a good shot to even affect someone. And due to me leaning more towards the skill side than the look side when it comes to racing games, I do prefer CTR in this aspect. But I do think Sonic Racing Crossroad has a lot going on. It's not just, it's casual friendly, but you need to know a little bit of how the game works tactically to be able to do well. But it's not all, it's not all luck. You can get lucky though, but it's not all luck. If you don't know what you're doing, you will be a lot worse off than if you do. So yeah. So we'll give that point to CTR. On the visuals, with a visual standpoint of both games, now graphically, I feel like Crossworlds obviously has more output and more fidelity because it's on current gen consoles, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and things like that. However, the art direction and the art style of the games, I feel like it's a pretty close call. I don't know. CTR looks amazing for the hardware, even for the hardware that it was on. I think it does suffer a bit from coming out the year before, quite literally, that the current gen consoles came out. I think if it had a PS5 version, it's probably wouldn't even be a conversation, honestly. But however, the starts with the art direction, I feel like CTR looks more appealing. I think that's a personal thing as well, though, because obviously, like I said, Crossworlds has higher graphical power, at least on the current gen versions. I know that there are PS4 versions. I feel like when you compare those, it's definitely a talking point there. But we haven't seen. That's the thing. We haven't even seen the last gen iterations of Crossworlds. In my knowledge, we haven't, at least we haven't been able to play them. I'm not gonna say we haven't seen it. We haven't been able to play them, get our own hands on them. Now here we have the talking point that I think could make or break this conversation, and that's the online experience. Oh boy, the online experience. Talking about the online experience with this game, CTR in particular, it's definitely something, man. This game, I would say, its online was alright, serviceable on the prime release. However, as soon as next gen at the time, or current gen now consoles came out, the online basically broke in two. Because there's some quirk with this game that they didn't let, Activision didn't let be not sort out, pretty much, where if a next gen console was to skip the cutscenes when online matchmaking, the match would just shut everyone out basically. For at least the last gen console, they would basically shut them out if a current gen person skipped the cutscene, because the next gen consoles at the time, which are now current gen, they load so much faster. The last gen consoles just couldn't keep up. And yeah, and since this game never had a PS5 update, it was just left in that state and never got fixed. So that kind of, it cut online playing time down quite significantly. Because a lot of people, even that would be playing this game, gave up because they don't want to deal with all that. Because who's to know if someone's on PS4 or PS5 or on Xbox Series X and S instead of Xbox One. You never know until someone skips, and then the lobby shuts down without any warning. So yeah. And also, it's not many modes online for CTR. It's pretty much only single races and battles. And that's it. No cups online, none of that. I feel like it's honestly bare bones. Even though the gameplay is fantastic, it's still bare bones. I think they should have did a lot more with this, because they have cups, they have ring rally modes, all that kind of stuff offline. I think online would have only benefited from that stuff, but it's neither here nor there. It's neither here nor there. So I said all that to say, if the race park mode online is even half of what it's stacked up to be, and we get to play cups online on Sonic Racing Crossworlds, I think Crossworlds take the online point of this conversation easily, because it's not really much to compete against, to be honest. All it has to do is be half as competent as it's promised to be, and it'll have it. Next on the list, we have post-launch support. So how are these games? How are both these games be supported, or were they supported after they released? And this part of the conversation, this will be a very contentious part as well, because CTR got a lot of love. Was getting a lot of love when it came out, up until around the time lockdowns started around the world back in March 2020. Yeah, what a time that was. But anyway, yeah, CTR got a lot of love, man. 8 new tracks, essentially doubling the available carts and characters that the game had. So many paint jobs for vehicles that I can't even name, and wheels as well. Yeah, Crossworlds has its work cut out on that aspect, but we do seem to be getting a lot of stuff for Crossworlds, including crossovers, which is also something that CTR did as well with Spyro. We had quite a few Spyro characters in the game. But yeah, it seems like Crossworlds has a lot of ways to go on that aspect. Let's see, time will tell if they match up. But since they're doing the IP crossovers, and this is a very big IP in itself with Sonic itself, the possibilities are endless for what can be added to this game. They could possibly add. They have extreme gears they could add from other games. Riders fans, yeah. They have extreme gears they could add from other games. They have, it's 3 previous Sonic kart racers. They could add some characters that were in those games. They could add their vehicles from the previous games. Possibilities are endless for what could go on with this. But it won't be easy if Sega decides to not support this game, CTR will easily run away with this conversation. This point of this conversation, at least. And for the final point of the video, we have music. Now, this point is definitely one that's very, 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 very opinionated, more so than gameplay and all the other stuff that I've brought up. Just due to the fact that I feel as if these games have two different approaches to music. Now, Sonic, with the Sonic games and Sonic vs. Crossworlds specifically, they make just overall nice sounding music, whether it's in the context of the level, the aesthetic of the level in the game, or just even just listening to the music itself in a vacuum, just vibing to it. I feel as if Crash music, at least music in CTR, there are some overall just nice sounding songs. However, I feel as if most of them are mood setters. They're great for the setting that is the track that they are made for. That's definitely an opinion. That's, like I will say, that's definitely an opinion. You can take that with as many grain of salt as you need to, honestly. However, I think Sonic takes this one, just due to the fact that we know traditionally Sonic music is just made for, I wouldn't say they go into it trying to make it just listenable anywhere or for multiple settings, but it definitely accomplishes that, at least from what we've heard in the beta. Not talking about the DJ mixes, because the DJ mixes that they post on social medias are very people have very strong opinions about those, so either one way or the other. They either love them or they hate them. Just talking about music that's in the game though, yeah, I think I would easily give that to Sonic vs. Crossworlds, man. Like I said, the CTR does have some nice tracks though, like the ones I played in this video. I'm gonna try Avenue earlier, and at this point in the video should be Engine Labs. Yeah, there are some very nice songs though. But yeah, I think I basically covered each point I wanted to talk about with the games. Overall, I would say Sonic Crossroads has a very strong chance of taking it. I won't give a final verdict though. Maybe I'll probably revisit this when the full game is out. I had enough time to sit and think on my thoughts, just so I can collect them better and do a better view of the full picture of the game. But yeah, thanks for listening, man. In case, signing out.